Welcome, bienvenue to the 700 people who have signed up for this incredible webinar with Adrian Leeds, Make Your Dream to Live in France Come True. Here's how. The AFUSA is the largest Alliance Française network in the world, helping 26,000 learners of French each year learn, live, and love French with the Alliance Française. Take a look at our new video. Stay tuned for some of the incredible national events coming up soon. On January 12th, we were watching French Cinematheque's presentation of Just an Accident, curated by Peter de Bruges of Variety magazine. It's the French nomination, the French entry for the Oscars. So make sure you watch it in advance. It's an extraordinary film. And then Jacques Pépin will be back with my friend and colleague, Jean-Louis Guérin, who will host a wonderful webinar on his new book coming out. And again, we're going to welcome Roger Mummert, who has a new conference coming up on February 12th, How French Cartographers Shaped the New World. A few logistics and format. Please stay on mute during the presentation. Stay on speaker view. Please put your questions in the chat and we'll address them at the end of Adrian's webinar. And if you have technical issues, sign back in after a couple of minutes using the original Zoom link. This event is being recorded for our YouTube channel, and the total runtime is 1 hour. We are thrilled, as always, to welcome back Adrian Leeds, who has lived in France for over 30 years. Adrian is an HTV personality regular on House Hunters International. The Adrian Leeds Group, licensed real estate agency, property consultation services, is available for all 700 of you who are thinking about moving to France. Welcome, Adrian.
Thank you, Renee. Does everybody know who Renee Ketchum is? And Melissa Sora and Upi Struzak from the Alliance Française Federation. And I really want to thank all of you for inviting me to be here today. It's really a pleasure. And I guess I should just go ahead and get started and share my screen and do my presentation. Yep. Here we go. Okay, everybody can see that? Let me know.
We can. Merci, Adrian.
Okay, excellent. Here we go. And just to give you a brief intro on this, this is going to be a very quick run through of sort of how to move to France 101. And then we're going to have hopefully enough time at the end to do some Q&A and get as many questions answered as we possibly can. And I do welcome from my team there, to interject as we go through if there's anything you want to add to it. So here we go. Just to give you an idea of who we are property consultants. We kind of think of ourselves as French property the American way. We are a licensed real estate agency in France. And we do all sorts of services, property consultation, property search. We do sales and listings. We help people purchase or sell as an assistance, actually. We can do property appraisals. We offer financing resources, and we've got teams for renovation and decoration. Basically, we are soup to nuts, everything you could possibly need or desire for making a move to France. And the reason we exist, the reason I have a job, is because there's no multiple listing service in France. This is a big deal because it means that you can't go to one agent and have access to all properties. So you really take someone to assist you. But on top of that, you've got a different process, different laws, different language, different currency, different culture. I mean, different everything. So even if you have bought and sold hundreds of properties in the United States or elsewhere, everything you experience in France is different. So you might as well throw that out the window and start over, but that's why we're here to help. Now, how I got here just like a lot of people. I came to Paris in 1979 as a tourist. I fell in love and thought, okay, let's just not go any further. Let's just stay right here. I was with my not yet husband at the time, and so we ended up coming back to France again and again and again over the years, and ended up deciding to go for 1 year to test the waters, and that was 1994. Well, guess what? I never left, obviously, because it is, and we'll get into that, it's pretty impossible to leave once you've experienced life in France. The dumb thing I did, though, was that I didn't take any French lessons. I had French in high school, but that was about it. And that was kind of worthless, I have to say. But when I came, I had this idea that I would take an intense course and be fluent in 3 months. And that was hilarious because that is impossible. I will tell you that right now. So I realized that I didn't want to spend all of my days in Paris in a classroom. I wanted to experience the city. So I'm telling you now, take your lessons now before you come. Get as much under your belt as you can so that when you do get here, you aren't as much of an idiot as I was. In the end, what I did was I created a French English conversation group that was called Parley Parlor. And I ran that with a partner for 20 years, and I kind of ended up learning French a bit organically just through conversation. But I do have to admit that I still don't read or write very well, even though I can finally, yes, now I can converse. Here are some of the benefits of living in France, in case you don't already know them, but I bet you do. It's beautiful. Architecture, landscape, style, everything around you is just beautiful. I think it's one of the main reasons that I fell so madly in love with France was because just being surrounded by the beauty, particularly Paris, which is probably the most beautiful city in the world. On top of that, there's culture, the cultural arts, performing arts, creative arts, music, opera, everything. And that was probably another reason I needed to be in Paris because I'm really an addict. I try to see every exhibition that comes to the city and elsewhere because I really enjoy that. Meanwhile, France offers a tremendous amount of diversity, whether it's ethnic or cityscape or landscape, or, France is like the size of Texas, but it literally has everything you can imagine in that one small space. And on top of it all, you've got a joie de vivre that is like nowhere else. This is a place where you don't live to work, you work to live. And the French have designed their holidays and their vacation time to really take time off to enjoy their lives and their families and to reflect. And that's very, very important. I don't know how to explain that lifestyle, how different it is to realize that it's just that money's not that important. On top of it, though, they give you a sense of security because you've got a huge safety net. You've got the best healthcare in the world. You've got, secure employment and retirement benefits. That is, if you're working and earning money here. And well, except that you've got healthcare even if you're not working and earning money here. And that safety net gives you a real sense of security and reduces stress. Now, I'm going to tell you too, right now, you've got cost of living is literally about half of what it is in the US. All of our clients who have moved here will attest to this. It's not just me, throwing this out and saying, okay, you're going to believe it, whether it's true or not. It is absolutely true. I can give you some real examples on, property taxes, insurance costs, even just the cost of groceries. And then on top of that, you've got really high quality education, which is free through college for children and adults. So if you've got kids and you want to put them through school, this is the place to do it. And I put my daughter through school here. She is now in the process of moving back to France so that she can educate her son in France because she knows how important that is for him. You've also got an amazing infrastructure, excellent transportation systems, sophisticated, inexpensive communication systems. I know that as an American, I was always taught that we nowhere in the world could be better than what we had in the US. And then I discovered France is really way ahead in many ways. And we enjoy that here quite a bit. Now, some of the taxes are higher. If you're earning money here, then your income taxes are going to be higher, but some taxes are quite a bit lower. Property, for example, property taxes are about 1/10 of what they are in the US. And in the end, even if you do pay more taxes here, you get a lot more for your money. So my Social Security taxes are expensive, but I get a lot more for it. So for me, it's really a huge benefit. You'll find that there's a much larger middle class, there are fewer rich, fewer poor, and that France offers a bigger safety net. Now, for retirees, you will not be taxed in France on your retirement income or your investments, so on your dividends. You could end up paying a lot less tax living in France than you would living in the United States, especially if you move to a non-taxable state in the US so you can actually reduce your overall taxes. When you move to France with a visa after living here for 90 days, you can then apply with Puma to be on the French healthcare system. And the French healthcare system will pay up to 70% of your healthcare costs. And if you have a long-standing illness, an ongoing illness, it'll pay 100%. Meanwhile, the costs are still about 1/10 of what they are in the US, and the quality of the care is better. And I'll tell you why the quality of the care is better. It's not necessarily that the doctors are so much more brilliant or that the hospitals are better equipped or anything like that. But because healthcare is not based on profit, you get better care overall. The doctors make better decisions. You make better decisions. And I can tell you firsthand, I'm not going to go into it now, but I was in the hospital for 2 weeks a year ago now. In fact, a year ago today, I entered the hospital with the flu. I spent 2 weeks there. I was in intensive care for 4 nights. The care was amazing. It cost me zero. I never saw a bill, and I could rest comfortably the entire time that I wasn't ever going to have to worry about that. And that made a big difference. But we can talk about that all day. I'm going to move on. How do you have the right to live and work in France? Well, if you're a non-French citizen, you are permitted to stay 90 days within any 180-day period without a visa. But if you want to stay longer, you need a visa. And the best visa to get is called a carte de séjour visiteur. You can apply for a 1 year long stay visa that is renewable annually in France, and this gives you the right to be there. It doesn't mean you have to stay. I get that question all the time. You're not stuck in France. It just gives you the right to be there, and it's very easy to achieve. All you have to do is prove that you can support yourself through your socioeconomic situation by showing them financial documents. You have to show that you have a place to live, which you can actually do just with a short-term rental for 90 days. And you have to show that you have medical coverage, which is just an insurance policy. And we have access to insurance brokers and all of the support people resources you need to make that happen. So it's very simple. Now you must also formally agree not to engage in any professional activity during your stay in France. That means, in essence, that you're not going to come take a job away from a French national. Now, there are ways to work and still comply, because the bottom line is that France wants to make sure that you're paying your taxes properly. That's the bottom line, but we can teach you how to do that. But I want you to realize something. Do not confuse legal residency with tax residency. Okay, there are two different things. Legal residency gives you the right to be in France. Tax residency is where you live 183 days or more, or where you consider home, and then where you will be taxed first. But thanks to the tax treaty between France and the US, which is the best tax treaty probably in the world, at least definitely in Europe, you will never pay tax twice on the same income. There is a link here that leads you to the official website to get French visas. And we recommend that you do consult with an immigration attorney. You don't have to do that. You can do it yourself. It's not complicated. We also have a hand holder to get you through the process. But if you have any questions or complications, then the best thing you can do is work with an attorney, and then you're going to have smooth sailing all the way through. So, where to live? I think this is the number one question we get. Would you agree with that, Patty? Patty's on mute, I guess.
I get off mute. Yeah. No, we get that question a lot.
Okay, and go
I
ahead.
met with a client yesterday who admitted right up front that she had romantic illusions of her life in France.
Okay, well, this is
And
something
that's
we do
and
get.
that's,
Yes.
traveling around and going from place to place, like you're on vacation. And it's different when you live here. You really do need to find a place and put down roots.
Well, here's the deal, okay? You're going to fall in love with everywhere you go. It's that simple. I mean, everything's really beautiful and you're going to feel at home. But I don't want you to just say, okay, this is where I want to be. I want you to really understand that there are things that are practical that will make your life wonderful. And these are the things that are on my list that I think should be on your list. First of all, I think it's really important to have a thriving American community, because if you land in France and you can't easily make friends and your French isn't that great yet, you're going to feel real out of sorts, and an American community is going to give you that support. Then I think it's really important to have fast and easy access to transportation. If you want to travel all over France and all over Europe, then you need to be near an international airport or a good TGV hub. And you want to make sure that wherever you're living has some good local transport, which means that maybe you won't need a car. And not needing a car, not owning a car is one of life's greatest pleasures. It certainly has been mine for the last 31 years. A car can just be a ball and chain around your neck rather than the freedom. In the US, you can't go anywhere without a car, with the exception of New York. In France, you can live in France almost everywhere except for the countryside without a car. Now, and there's a complication with the French driving license, so I'll get to that a little bit later. The thing about cost of living is the main difference between the cities and the countryside really has to do with housing. Otherwise, everything else costs about the same. So housing, rents, and housing to purchase can be different in different places across the country. Paris is by far the most expensive housing. Nice is, and other places could be next in line, but that's about half of what Paris is. Now, if you are over the age of 50, I highly recommend that you make sure that you have good access to good healthcare and hospitals within 20 or 30 minutes that you can get to a hospital. I think that would be insanely important. And I certainly realized that a year ago when I had to go to the hospital. Now, if you want to do business, if you're still working, then you want to consider somewhere where you're going to have business opportunities, and other people may only care about cultural activities. So the question is, what's more important, and where are you going to find that? Language could be really important. If you're fluent in French, you've been at the Alliance Française for a while, and your language level's good, great, no problem. But if you're still struggling, then you may want to be in a city where people are going to speak English and you're not going to feel so out of sorts until you get the hang of it. And then you have to ask yourself, Do you want to be in a city or in a rural environment, which means the difference between an apartment versus a village house or a house in the countryside? One of the things that often happens is we get clients who say, well, I've got these dogs and I really want a yard and I love working in the garden, but I don't want to own a car. And you're going, okay, how are we going to do that? I mean, you're not going to be able to live in a house with land around you and still live at a place without owning and operating a car. So you're going to have to give up that, basically, give up that house with all that land around you. And there's probably lots of reasons you wouldn't want that anyway. And something we're going to talk about at much greater length. So here you go. There's a lot of France to love. Paris is certainly urban. It's the most urban part of the country. The housing is the highest cost in the country as well. But of course, Paris offers the most. Then there's the Nice and the entire Riviera, and that is kind of more like an urban slash suburban lifestyle because you've got a little bit of both. And the cost of housing is more moderate. Then there's Provence, which is entirely rural and moderate cost of housing, about the same as Nice and the Riviera, but it's definitely more rural. And then there are other cities all over France and provinces which can be much lower in cost, which can be a combination of urban, suburban, and rural, depending. But, I'm going to give you some of my top spots in just a minute. So we've got 18 administrative regions, five of which are actually overseas, and one is Corsica. But here's the regions of France. Paris is in the Île-de-France in the north. That's the one that's green. And they all have their assets and liabilities, their benefits and things that are great, things that aren't. So it's a matter of choosing. And one way to make that choice is climate. So, like what kind of a climate do you enjoy? The best climate in the country is literally Nice, and
Mm-hmm.
not just outside of Nice, but Nice. It's a little microclimate. We were talking about this earlier among ourselves because when it's really hot in the summer, Nice hovers around 85 degrees. It actually stays cooler than most other parts of France. We were just talking about how you could go even, 30 minutes drive away to Grasse, and it could be 5 or 10 degrees warmer than it is in Nice in the middle of the summer. And so I hear that a lot. Oh, I don't want to be in the South because I know it's going to be hot, but that's not necessarily true. So I think it's important to decide what kind of climate you like and, where that's going to suit you. So here, where do you want? You want a car? You want to not have a car? Again, I'm gonna recommend that you get out of your bubble and stop living in your car and
No
start.
car.
I'm sorry, what?
No car. Not for 10
No
years. I
car,
haven't
no
had a
cars.
car.
Um, I'm going to talk a little bit later about the bubble, but basically, you no longer have to live in that bubble in your car. You really can enjoy a public lifestyle if you take advantage of public transportation, and it's fantastic in France. It's amazing everywhere you go. They've done a really great job of this, and it's very inexpensive. This, by the way, is Place Masséna in Nice. That's the tramway that goes through it, and it's quiet, it's efficient, it's amazing. There are states that have a reciprocal agreement with France where you can trade in your driving license for a French driving license. There are 18 of them. Here they are, the states. And what I recommend you do is that you tell your DMV that you lost your license and you want a duplicate, so that you come into France with two driver's licenses. And so that when you turn one into France, you still have the other one. So when you're driving in the US, you don't have to show them your French license. It's just a little trick we learned. I'm going to confess right now that I do not have a French driving license. And I rent a car every now and then over the years, and I just take my chances because I take the risk that I'm not going to have a terrible accident. But I don't recommend that you do that. If you can get a French driving license and you do want to drive, you can. The car rental companies don't care about your French license. They just will take a look at your American license and rent you a car. So it's kind of one of those petit chemin between the government agencies that you can make work. If you want to travel, then being close to an international airport is a major plus. There are four of them in the country, two in Paris, one in Marseille, one in Nice. There are other fairly large airports in the country, but they can get you to other parts in Europe, but not necessarily other parts around the world as easily or quickly. I will say, though, that Nice is really simple. You can get on the tramway and be at the front door of the airport in 20 minutes, and the airport's really easy. And
Mhm.
you can travel anywhere from there. EasyJet's really inexpensive. I had a 19 euro flight from Naples to Nice once, which was just amazing, incredible. And very, very often I have taken a train to Nice for the cost of a taxi to Charles de Gaulle in order to
Mhm.
fly to the States from Nice because it's so much easier, believe it or not. So it just
Adrian, you just bought that train ticket next month. It was what, 45
40
euros from,
43, yeah, like 43 euros for my train from Paris to Nice.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. A taxi is 60 euros.
Hmm.
Taxi to Charles de Gaulle, 60 euros, and the train was 43. And now, of course, it's a 6 hour train ride. But then leaving from the Nice airport is so much easier. It's unbelievable. Charles de Gaulle, is complicated.
Hmm.
So here's the TGV. We love the TGV. I love it. I almost always take the TGV to and from Paris to Nice, which I do. In fact, I came to Nice on Thursday. On Thursday, and I'm leaving tomorrow. So for 3 days. But the train is very comfortable. It is a 6 hour ride. You don't have to switch trains, and you get to look at the countryside the whole way. So it's really beautiful. And if you're at a good TGV hub, then you can really get not only all around France, but you can get to many parts in Europe as well, very easily, inexpensively, and quickly. Uh, London is 2 hours, 15 minutes from Paris. It's fabulous. So let's talk about healthcare. You don't want to be in a desert, in a healthcare desert. I want you to be within 20 minutes of a hospital if you are over the age of 60. So that's another reason we don't want you to go hole yourself up in some little village. As romantic as it might sound, you don't want to have these kinds of problems. And so just keep in mind where the hospitals are. There are lots of great hospitals everywhere, but you can see from the red zones here that there are a few deserts around the country. So take care. Here's my top six spots. Paris is number one. It's expensive, it's urban. The weather is not great. You don't come to Paris for the weather. But it is probably the most exciting place on the planet to be. And my number two spot is Nice. Nice is the joke, Nice is nice. Nice really is nice. Besides the fact that it's
Hmm.
got incredible weather, it's very beautiful. The mayor, Christian Estrosi, has done everything in his power to make it the greenest spot in the entire country. He's doing a really good job of that. The infrastructure is amazing. And our American community has grown by leaps and bounds. We had 100 people at a Thanksgiving dinner this past Thanksgiving, and the community is very closely knit and very lovely. And so I highly recommend Nice. After that, Aix-en-Provence is a good spot. It's a lot smaller. It has a huge student community. It has a 30-minute ride to the Marseille airport, so it gives you that access. You don't need a car living in X. The downside to X is it will be really hot in the summer. That's for sure. Provence is number 4, but that's Provence as a region. You will need a car if you're living in any of those villages, but there's a very large American community that is scattered all over Provence. It's my favorite region. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Mhm.
It's very, very chic and lovely and elegant in so many ways. But it is, of course, it's going to be hot. Just plan on it being hot in the summer. Lille is on this list. Nobody talks about Lille. I think I'm the only one out there who talks about Lille, but I think Lille is amazing. It's in the north on the Belgian border. The weather's not great. The weather's like Paris, so don't expect a lot of sunshine, but it's 1/4 the price of Paris in terms of real estate. And the TGV goes from Lille to Brussels in 30 minutes, to Paris in an hour, to London in an hour and a half, to Amsterdam in 2.5. And there are trains all day long to Charles de Gaulle. It is actually easier to get to Paris and Charles de Gaulle from Lille than it is from a Paris suburb. And so, if you're looking for a smaller place with a nice community, because the American community is growing, there's a large Anglophone community there, mostly British. There's a large student community there, and the access is fantastic, and it won't cost you an arm and a leg at all. So Lille is really it's starting to blossom. We have a lot of clients moving there. They love it, and it's where Charles de Gaulle was born. And so I would check it out. And then the other city that I like is Strasbourg. And the reason I like Strasbourg is because it is the seat of the EU. So it's a very international city. It's also very beautiful. And its only downside is it's really cold in the winter. So you're either going to get a lot of cold or a lot of hot, but in between, pretty fabulous. Now, we often get this question, should I rent or should I buy? And, let's face it, renting gives you a lot of flexibility in the short term, but ultimately you're paying someone else's mortgage and you can't ever really make that property your own. So it's good for a limited amount of time, or if you really just want the freedom. And so what we recommend is to actually maybe rent first and then buy later. So if you rent for a year or so and you determine that you really like where you are, or if you don't like where you are, then you can move easily. But if you really like where you are, then you can go ahead and take the time to find a property to purchase. We have a special program for our clients who do a rental search and then later decide to purchase. We offer a discount for the search for the purchase, and it's so good that it ends up paying for the search for the rental. So it's almost like you rented at no cost. So, it's a good program and it's worth, working with us through the entire process. If you're renting long term, which, by the way, is you can't write your own leases. A furnished rental is a 1-year lease with a 30-day cancellation. That's by law. You can give your landlord a 30-day notice. Easy, so you're not stuck with a 1-year lease. If it's an unfurnished apartment, it carries a 3-year lease. And normally that has a 90-day cancellation, except in Paris, Nice, and other cities that have a housing shortage, they have granted the 30-day cancellation. So you really have a lot of freedom. The laws favor the tenants, but because of it, the landlords, they need their own sense of security. So they want you to have some sort of a guarantor, which is a kind of insurance that, believe it or not, you take out to protect the landlord from you not paying the rent, which seems a little nuts, but that's the way it goes. And that costs about 5% of the rent. The company that we recommend working with is called, that is wrong there. It's not guarantee.fr. It's actually garantme.fr, GARANTME.fr. I apologize for the mistake. But rental properties are hard to find. They are hard to secure, especially for tenants with a foreign-based income. So if you go direct to the landlords or the agencies, they really aren't going to know who you are. You're not going to have enough clout, and they're not likely to choose you as a tenant. And it's one reason that we can get in there and offer this service, because we're working with the agencies and the landlords every single day on a regular basis, and they know that we have qualified clients who have paid us to do this work. Therefore, you have a level of clout that you wouldn't have otherwise. Um, our team in Paris and in Nice are really adept at this, and they have done an amazing job finding these properties. So, yes, it costs you something. It costs you 1 month's rent for us to do this work, with a minimum of 22.90. But I think in the end, you're going to find that it's really worth having someone else work on your behalf to do this, because otherwise it could be very, very challenging. Now, we do find and help you purchase property. That is really our raison d'etre. And just know that anyone can purchase property in France. You do not need to have a visa. You don't have to have any kind of particular status. If you just want a pied de terre that you use from time to time, you can certainly make that purchase. Again, there's no MLS. That means that every agent only has access to their own listings. That means you have to go from agency to agency. And it's that, again, that's really challenging, but that's why we offer this service. The commissions are built into the price. The asking price that is advertised builds in about 5 or 6% agency commissions. And the agents are very proprietary, particularly in Paris. In Nice, we have a situation, and other parts of France, we can actually share the commissions on occasion, not always, about 50% of the time, but we don't keep that commission. We actually refund that back to you, because I think that's a conflict of interest, is to get paid on both sides. It's not fair. So we make that available, and it can save you quite a bit of money to do that. But the Paris agencies have said, nope, we're not sharing commissions with anybody. And you have to remember that these agents, because they only have their pocket of properties to sell, they only care about selling them, and they don't care what you buy. They're not protecting you, they're protecting the seller. So you really have to be careful what they do and what they say. They will not tell you the reasons why you shouldn't buy a property, but we will. So we kind of think of what we do as an insurance policy to protect you and to be really careful and to do all the due diligence. Now, I don't want you to be afraid of renovation and decorating. You have to assume that you're going to end up in an older building or an older property that needs some work and some renovation, and we have the teams to do it. You buy what you cannot change. I want you to burn that into your brain. Okay, the rest is smoke and mirrors. This apartment that you're looking at, believe it or not, was a 20 square meter storage unit that was absolutely disgusting. I mean, I will never forget it. And Martine Di Matteo, who's our #1 designer, who we've been working with for more than 20 years, she took that little 20 square meter apartment and turned it into one of the most beautiful little townhouses you have ever seen. And the owners have owned it many years and love, love, love it. And so you'd be amazed what you can do with, you can, I don't have the words for it, but I've done a lot of renovation. You probably all know that. I've literally done hundreds of projects with Martine, and we have an awful lot of fun just converting something that you can't imagine could be like this. I will say that you have to, she can give you a cost estimate, but you have to pretty much assume you're going to spend, anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000 euros a square meter on a full renovation. So if you buy a property that's a wreck, then assume you're going to, put in more money, but the idea is not to overcapitalize it if you can help it. And if you do, then you're just going to enjoy the hell out of it. We can help you find financing. We work with a couple of brokers who specialize in working with a North American buyer, which is not easy because of FATCA. The Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act of the US places regulations on foreign financial institutions to report their US customers. And as a result, there are a lot of banks that don't want to do business with us. It's that simple. So the banking is limited. Financing is difficult if you are older than 60 and self-employed. Not impossible, but difficult. And so you can, if you can get financing if you are under 60, and if you're salaried, much easier. The idea, though, is that the mortgage payment must not exceed more than 1/3 of your disposable income. And interest rates right now in France are really low. They're between 3 and 3.5%. And there will be a life insurance policy to secure the mortgage, which is mandatory by the banks. Now, again, you guys gotta like do the French, okay? There is no language requirement to obtain a long stay visitor visa. And there are places you can live where you can speak English the rest of your life if you really want to, but you're not going to have as much fun until you speak some French, at least some survival French. So do it now, okay? We have a saying here that la meilleure façon d'apprendre une langue étrangère est sur l'oreiller. So on the pillow, which means that you take a French lover, and that's one of the best ways to learn French. But if you don't have that, then sign up with the Alliance Française. And the Alliance Française has how many? How many across the US, you guys?
We have over 100 chapters in the US.
Wow, that's so incredible. This is the current map, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll put the link to our website in the chat so that people can find their local chapter.
Okay. Now, but you guys you have online courses as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you don't live near a chapter or if it doesn't work for you to drive to classes, you can take lessons online. And you can keep taking lessons online when you move to France because there are Alliance Française chapters all over France as well.
Well, when I applied for my citizenship, I had to take the exam, the language exam at the Alliance Française in Paris, which I believe was the first one in France. I believe, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Started in the
actually,
1800s.
well, it was actually pretty exciting for me to be there in that building. It's quite beautiful. Okay, so there's no excuses out there. There you go. Okay, bank account. You have to have a bank account if you're going to live in France. There's lots of other ways of paying your bills, but they really want you to have your own bank account. And again, at FATCA, Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It was signed by Barack Obama in 2010. It's part of the HIRE Act, and it places these regulations on foreign financial institutions. And for that reason, the banks don't want to do business with us. You can't walk into a French bank and just expect to say, okay, I want an account. They're not going to just give it to you. However, we have relationships with banks in Paris and Nice that are very happy to open accounts for our American clients without requiring any kind of a large deposit. So just see us for this. We can do it. The French-American tax treaty, as I said before, is one of the best in the world, and you will not be taxed by France on your retirement income or dividends. And just so you know, you will end up paying less taxes. I think property taxes in France are 1/10 of what they are in the US. There's taxe foncière and there's taxe d'habitation, which is only on secondary residences. So, for example, if my Paris apartment was in California, it would be 1.25% tax annually. And that means I'd be spending about $12,500 a year on my taxes because it's worth about $1 million. And in Paris, my annual tax is less than €1,000 a year. So you do the math. I mean, and I can show you example after example after example. So, when I have clients who say, well, should I hold on to my US property for now? I go, yeah, but not for long because it's costing you all of those taxes that you're paying. And you won't have them here in France. So I think it's interesting that we always think of France as a very highly taxed society, which is true when it comes to income tax, but not true in other respects. Now you're going to need insurance. You're going to need insurance to acquire your visa, health insurance. We have a couple of different brokers who work specifically for expats. Fab is one of them. And so your health insurance isn't going to be very expensive. Once you're here, after 90 days, you can apply to be on the French healthcare system with Puma. It pays up to 70% of your costs or 100% with a long-term illness. And then when you get on the French healthcare system, you can take the policy that you had and convert it to what's called a mutuelle or a top-up insurance. I have a mutuelle policy that is the best you can buy. It's 100% coverage with no deductible. And it costs me about €2,000 a year to have that. And I'm 73 years old. So that means, it's going to be the most expensive for me. So, and I think that's cheap. And you probably do too if you're living in the US with US healthcare. You're going to need homeowner insurance, whether you're renting or owning. And if you have a car, then you're going to need car insurance. But these guys can help you with any of those. Now, when you're settling in and you need to hook up your TV, your telephone, your internet, your gas, your electricity, your water, we do have people on staff who can help you do that. And you can do it yourself, or we can help you do it. It's either way. It's not very complicated, except that it is administrative, and things here can, take a little longer. I warn you to not have the kind of, expectations that you're going to just make one phone call and it's all going to be done with a snap. Nope. It takes a little bit of effort. But if you look at the free box on the right that says $29.99 a month, believe it or not, that is high-speed internet with fiber optics, a VoIP phone to 117 countries, and satellite TV with hundreds of channels for $29.99 a month. And I'll bet that costs you at least $200 a month in the US. And even better than that, you can add a cell phone for €16 a month that is free to 117 countries, and it's free in those countries when you're traveling and free back to France. So when I travel to the US or anywhere in Europe, I use my French cell phone and it costs me nothing. It's amazing. The most difficult thing about moving to France is crossing the cultural divide. The rest is really just kind of hurdles, simple hurdles. But uh, I want you guys to really understand the difference here. English law, which is what the US is based on what's forbidden. So everything which is not forbidden is allowed. And Napoleonic Code, everything which is not allowed is forbidden. So that means that we are diametrically opposed in our thinking, in our life, and in our law. We are open-minded because we know what we can't do, and everything else is possible. Whereas with the French, they're following the rules and they're living more inside the box. And I think it's really important to understand this so that when you cross the cultural divide, you won't feel so out of sorts. Again, this European lifestyle, stop living in your bubble. You get in your car, you get in your house, and then you get in your car and you go to the grocery store or the bank or to meet with friends, and then you get back in your car and you're always kind of living in that bubble. But when you're in Europe and when you're in France, you really can live and commune with the public. They prioritize quality over quantity, depth over speed, continuity over disruption, and lived experience over performance. And they will spend hours at a cafe talking about God only knows what, fascinating. And I just want you to get out of that bubble and start to really live life. We offer the expat community. I swear you'll make more friends in 90 days living in France than you have your entire life. We have a couple of events that we offer up free of charge. We call it après-midi. We do it in Paris the second Tuesday of every month. We have one in Nice that's every other month with a speaker. It's a great way to meet other expats. And as I told you before, we had Thanksgiving in Nice with 100 people, and you are bound to make more friends than you have ever made in your life in less time. It'll blow your mind. So, how do we make a difference to you? We represent your interests only and no one else's. We can search for your property to rent or to buy on your behalf, either with you or without you. We do a lot of sight unseen work. We provide all the resources you need, all the professionals you could possibly need to make this move. We do the due diligence, advise you along the way. You really don't need expensive translations or lawyers to protect you. We're here to do that for you. We manage the process from beginning to end. And as I said earlier, we kind of feel like we're an insurance policy because it's our job to make sure you don't make a bad decision. So here's how you can become a part of our community. We have 3 newsletters a week. I call them Nouvelles Lettres. You can easily subscribe to them. They are free. You can see us on House Hunters International. You can attend any of our après-midi coffee gatherings. You can participate in webinars such as this one. And the best way to do this is to book a personal or group consultation with either me or a senior staff member. And that's how it happens. And I just want you to see that this is Anne and Jeff Scott. They have a vlog. They do a lot of videos. We have helped thousands of people make this move. It starts with a consultation. They came to us. They're living in Nice. They're happy. I highly recommend subscribing to their YouTube channel and watching their videos. They're a lot of fun. They went through the whole process. You can, kind of take their journey with them. And I have a couple of personal recommendations. Number one, don't let fear get in the way of your dreams. There's absolutely nothing to fear. Put one foot in front of the other, and you make decisions as you go along that will benefit you. And then I want you to take the word expectations out of your vocabulary completely, replace it with hopes, and you will never be disappointed. And I see that I've gone a little bit over time because we don't have a lot of time for questions. But here we are. Okay, we're here for questions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can now see what's out there. And by the way, Alliance Française gang, I am happy to go over time if we need to, if everyone's agreeable with that, just to try to answer some questions since we really only have about 6 minutes left.
I think that's fine. Yeah, that's great. Let's look at the questions with Patty.
Okay,
I've answered some questions for you in the chat.
Okay, good.
And the one thing I want to touch on, we were getting some questions about bank accounts and do you really need a bank account? And if you don't mind, Adrian, I'm going to share my personal story about my French bank account.
Okay.
And you might recall, I didn't open a bank account right away when I moved to France. I didn't need one.
Right.
I finally opened one, I think my second year in France. I put 200 euros in it. Then I went to renew my visa at the prefecture in Paris. And I hand them my pile of papers. The woman is going through my pile of papers. And she says to me, she says, "Where is your French bank account?" And I showed her my statement. My statement showed I had 200 euros. And she said to me, "You live in France now? You need money in France?" And she sent me away. And I had an appointment to come back 3 months later showing I had put at least French minimum wage in my French bank account before they would renew my visa.
Wow.
So
Okay.
in my opinion and my personal experience, if you're going to take the leap and move to France, open a French bank account, put the money in there. You need to support the visa. Don't try to get around it using your US account or using one of those online Revoluts or Wise, open a real brick and mortar French bank account and become French.
Okay, let me make a comment to that. The FATCA rules say that if you have more than $10,000 value in a foreign account, you have to report it on an FBAR to the US government. And that's all it is. It's just a report. It's not, you don't have to
Mhm.
pay any taxes on it. So it's not a big deal to do. And if you're buying a property, you could easily end up with more than $10,000 worth in an account, clearly. But so it's not anything to worry about. And once you have a French bank account, you never want to close it if you can help it.
That is good advice. That is very, very good advice. We've got some other questions about do we work finding property outside of Paris or Nice?
Well, of course we do. We can look for property anywhere in France. However, it is more helpful if you're on the ground and you can do a lot of the visits yourself because we can send one of our people to work with you, but you'll end up paying for their travel expenses. So it's that simple. But yes, we can really work anywhere in France.
The one thing, Adrian, I want to add to that is regarding the rental searches.
Mhm.
When you are looking for rental outside of the major cities, it's more difficult. It's
Oh,
more
that's
difficult. A lot of landlords don't want to rent to foreigners anywhere in France. And even more so when you get outside of the major cities because they're just not used to it
yes,
and they
that's
don't want
right.
to take the
It's
risk.
it's much more difficult
Mhm.
to find those properties. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And if anybody wants to just ask a question, unmute yourself and ask a question, we'd be happy to take it live too. Oh, it's
I
so hard.
have a
There's so
question.
much stuff on the chat. It's hard to look through.
There's so many
Can I
questions.
ask a question?
Of
Sure.
course.
Okay, there are banks in US which are owned by France, and if we open account in the French-owned banks in US, can we use that bank account in
Yeah.
France?
It's like Bank of the West is owned by BNP Paribas, for example. And Bank of the West can help facilitate opening an account with BNP, but you can't open an account with Bank of the West and use it in France. No.
I have a question.
Sure.
Wait,
Yes.
could you put the last slide on that had your contact information, please?
Um,
Well, I like seeing everybody, but I tell you what, it's very, very,
can you
very
see me?
easy. AdrianLeeds.com.
Yeah. Can you
Just
see
go to
me?
adrianleeds.com, ADRIANLEEDS.com.
Okay. Anyhow, I had read about something called La Rente Viagère, which is sort of kind of an annuity you pay to the seller that is like a lifetime fee you have to pay him. Is that still in
I
existence?
think what you're talking about is a viager, Viager. It's a life annuity property.
Yeah.
And basically, it's really an interesting French concept that works very well. You basically buy a property from an elderly person, okay, by paying what's called a bouquet, which is like a down payment, and then you pay that person a monthly stipend, and you own the property, but you don't have the rights of usage. They continue to have the rights of usage and until they die. Now, you're kind of betting on their death because the sooner they die, the less money this property has cost you.
Okay.
And it can be an investment property. There is a great story about a woman named Jeanne Calment. And Jeanne Calment was the oldest living human in the world. She died at the age of 122. She sold her apartment in Arles to her notaire when she was in her 90s, who thought he was making a good deal because she was in her 90s. But she lived to be 122. And so she outlived him and the family, everybody else, and they ended up paying for her property twice. I mean,
Oh,
it's a great story. I could tell you stories all day long about this. Okay. I owned a viager It was one of the best property investments I ever made. It turned out very well for me. So it can be very good, but can also be very bad. So it's just now you, though, as an owner, can consider selling your property as a viager. Like if you're a single person, right, and you don't have heirs, and you own a property in France, you could decide, like maybe when you're in your 80s, which is probably when it makes sense, to sell your property as a viager, and you can live in it the rest of your life and get a return on your investment while you're alive.
Okay.
So, but it's called a viager, Viager.
Yeah. Okay. But you would know about that ahead of time. You wouldn't buy it and then all of a sudden go, oh my God, I have to
Oh,
pay.
no. You know all about it. Believe
Yeah,
me.
okay.
You know every inch of it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. Anybody else? I like these live questions.
I have a question. If you buy a property in France and then you sell it, what is you have to pay capital gain taxes in France, or it's related to the taxes in US?
Well, you pay capital gains tax if it is not a primary residence. If you sell a primary residence in France, there's no capital gains tax. Okay, but
Merci.
the capital gains tax in France, when you pay it, it's to France, has nothing to do with the US.
Alors, merci beaucoup.
How long is the process to buy a property? So once you find a property to the time you can close and move in, approximately how long does that take?
Anywhere from 1 month to 6 months. Basically, it takes about a month to get from the point where the offer's been accepted to the notaire's got all the documents together to sign what's called a pre-sale agreement. It's either a promesse de vente or a compromis de vente. And then there's usually another 1 to 3 months in between the signing of those documents. So that's one of those it depends answers. If you have a mortgage, it's going to be at least 4 months.
What are the requirements for the home you purchase in France to be your primary residence?
Good
Question.
Well, it helps to have your visa, which enables you to be in France, right? More than 90 days. That would be number one. And then if you are living here more than 183 days or where you consider home, it would be considered your primary residence.
I have
And
a
when you
question.
say tax, does that mandate additional tax requirements? If I am a retiree and I have investment.
Nope.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anywhere. Basically, look, you're going to pay taxes if you have income in France. Okay, I'm a working person. I pay tax. But if you're a retiree, you're not taxed on your retirement income or your dividends. So the only taxes you're going to pay to France are going to be the property taxes, in essence, and the sales tax when you purchase things.
Merci.
Adrian?
I have a question, if I may.
Okay.
I would like to know the difference between the carte de séjour visiteur and la carte de séjour pour étrangers retraités.
Nothing.
It's the same?
It is called a carte de séjour visiteur, point.
Parce que,
There is
I
no
mean,
such thing as a retirement visa.
I saw this on the website, on the embassy
The
website.
the retirement visa is only for people that have like French pensions.
Okay.
Oh, thank you,
Okay.
Patty.
You're welcome.
Another question.
Wait. So you've asked 3 questions already.
Mo, hey,
Adrian,
Mo, is that
Wait.
Mo again?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have
Wow.
five people with hands up, I see. We have people in the group with hands up, so maybe we should go to some people with hands up. Stephen, McMichael, you guys have been up for a while.
Yes, I have a question regarding the license. I've recently heard that for a reciprocating state in the United States to reciprocate with France, that you have to hold on to that license for a duration of time and you have to document how long you've had that. Is that true? Or have you heard anything about
I
that?
have no idea.
Yes, it's part of the process. Yep, you always need to get a clean driver's license record if you want to exchange your driver's license.
So
And if you have it from a new state, you would just get the record from the current state and the state before.
Okay, just so
Absolutely.
you know, this person who is interjecting here, okay, is one of the people on my staff. Her name's Katie Friedland. Especially when it comes to kids, she knows a lot about raising kids here. And so that's why she's interjecting. I do not have a French driving license, as I said. I never went through that process, which is why there was no way I couldn't answer that question. But Patty either.
Yes. I know a little bit. Let me see.
Adrian, I've been reading about some changes that the French government may require U.S. immigrants to pay into the healthcare system. Is that something that should be a concern?
Are you concerned? I'm not concerned. Let's put it this way. First of all, it's a proposal. Nothing's been determined. I don't see how they're even going to do it or enforce it. But even if you do have to pay something into the system, it's not going to be on the same level that you pay for healthcare in the US. And believe me, it will be well worth it. I mean, I'm not worried about the cost of it because I think it's going to be so minimal, it's almost going to be a joke. And quite honestly, I agree with it. You know, if you're going to take advantage of the healthcare system here, then yeah, maybe you should pay into it.
I have a question.
But it's going to be a long time before anything's decided.
I have a question. I have been doing your webinars and stuff for like over a year. Like this is making me like want to just do it. Here's the thing. But here's the thing. I have pets. I have a dog and I have 3 cats. I want to be in Paris or Nice. Do I really have to find homes for these pets to have any hope of living in a city? I'm looking for like a rental over the winter and then more later.
No. First of all, the French love dogs and cats. Okay, they're everywhere. And it's just a matter of finding a place that's willing to take you on the temporary basis, because for a long-term apartment, they cannot deny you having those pets.
Oh,
Yeah, you're entitled to have pets.
Entitled to have.
So different than here. Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
But so you could probably help if I want to spend next winter in Paris, say 3 months. So I guess that's the easier thing to start with. That's something you might be able to help me find a place, maybe?
Well, a 3 months, no, we can help you find a long-term, but not just a 3 months.
Okay. That's what I need to know. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
I have a question.
We're going to go till 9:15. Is that okay with my Alliance Française people?
Yeah, well, that's fun until
9:15.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. With the climate in America right now, I don't want to open a can of worms here, but is the French government thinking of changing any type of welcoming for Americans into France?
Well, I have no idea what the French government's thinking, but I don't think so. I mean, you know, they call the American passport the golden passport. They love Americans. You know, we come with skills, we come with money. You know, they really love and appreciate us. We have been their allies since the revolution. And I think they're opening their arms to us more and more.
Okay.
I don't see that happening.
Okay.
But I am not in the French government. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I have a question. Yeah.
Shoot.
Hi, Adrian. Big, mad respect for you. You just helped our friend Calista in Paris, and she can't say enough about you. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. Quick question. For the long-term visa, for minimum income requirements, is that always based on individuals, or is it also acceptable for married couples combined income?
It's per person.
Okay, thanks.
But it's French minimum wage. It's about 17,000 euros a year. So we're not talking about a lot of money.
I have a question. Am I on?
Yeah.
Hi, Adrian. First of all, thank you for time. It's so exciting. I've been watching you on House Hunters International forever, and it's exciting to talk to you in person. My question is, I am Jewish. I know that you're Jewish because you talk about it all the time, and it's been my dream to live in Paris. But what is your sense of? Do you feel any fear of anti-Semitism in Paris, or would there be better places to live?
Okay, I just spent 8 days in Tel Aviv.
I know. I read it, and I loved your article.
And I went to the Golan, and I met with Benjamin Pick, who's our preferred CPA and expert comptable, who lives primarily in Jerusalem, and he said that the anti-Semitism that he has seen has been on a business level. In other words, there are, doing business can be more difficult, but I have not personally felt anything at all. Now, I'm in Paris. My neighborhood is Jewish. It's the Marais. But my workers are Egyptians, and everybody seems to get along very, very well without any issues. I know more Jews in France than I ever knew in the United States. True story.
That's
And
true.
a very large number of expats, Jewish expats who have moved to France, a much higher percentage than everyone else, because we as Jews, you probably know this, we are more Jewish than nationalists, right? So we can live almost anywhere. We carry that with us, and so I have never experienced anything personally in any way, shape, or form.
Hi, Adrian. I have a two-part question, if I could.
Okay.
One is, do you have any job search services that you could recommend? I'm currently employed in the U.S. I work in the automotive industry, and if so, could someone put it in the chat? And moving to France, we would like.
I can certainly help you with that on a personal level. On an individual one-on-one level, I can help you set yourself up in a way that enables you to either work or find work. But it's not easy. Just know that. Sometimes you just have to pay your dues and make it happen. But it can happen. Like Patty, I hired Patty the day after she arrived in France. So there are ways to make this work. And we are down to 2 minutes. But I'm going to go back to Patty. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
I'm sorry, what?
How do I ask a question?
Ask it, quick.
I just want to reconfirm whether or not you accept a short-term rental person like myself. I'm looking for like 3 to 5 months.
No, we can find you a long-term rental that you sign a lease on, but you can cancel the lease with a 30-day notice. That would be the way to do it.
So I need to commit originally to 1 year. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Find a 1-year lease, but you always have a 30-day cancellation. That is the best way to do it for the least amount of money.
And how do I proceed with that? I'm in San Francisco and planning to visit my Parisian friend in May. Should I come and visit you in person, or should I proceed from here?
Just send us an email or get on the website and go to the contact page, and then we will, we'll work you through the system and help you. Yeah.
D'accord. Merci beaucoup, madame. Enchantée.
Okay. It is 9:15. I promised we would cut this off then. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the Alliance Française Federation and all of you and everyone for being here. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you've learned some things and that you all come to France. Okay, we need you. We want you.
Yes.
You're going to have the best life you have ever had living here. I certainly have enjoyed my 31 years here, and you're never going to leave. So just know it.
Perfect. Viva France. Merci.
Merci. Bonne soirée. Bonne année.